Welcome to being Sharon Gibson Show, BSG.
Hello BSG Fighters, welcome back to another episode. This is season 6, episode 15, featuring Aimee Cerka from the USA, Texas, a money confidence coach, a podcast host. As intended, I am going to transform your mind into a strong and positive mind. Before I dive into today's topic, I'd like all of you to know that my TikTok and YouTube community are different from my podcast community, so check out my videos on these platforms. Welcome, Aimee.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, Sharon.
It's good to have you here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
That's great. Can you tell my audience more about yourself?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, I'm a money confidence coach. I've been in the finance industry and entrepreneurship now for 12 and a half years, done a thing or two. And over the last 12 years, things have evolved and I really serve clients now and we work on ditching financial stress, struggle, and frustration. What I have found is there's a lot of lies that are being shouted from the rooftops by gurus and media, and a lot of them aren't accurate, or they're step-by-step strategy that puts us in a box. And that's not how I find success for my clients, and that's not how I want to live. So we work together to remove those conditionings, the negative emotions that we have to truly create unstoppable finances.
That's amazing. And today's topic is titled Cultivating a Relationship with Money. As usual, before we dive into our topic of discussion, I'll be sharing 2 top rules for success inspired by Beyonce Knowles Carter. She's a phenomenal singer and a businesswoman. Number 1, surround yourself with positivity. And number 2, be competitive with yourself. So now we're going right into our topic of discussion, cultivating a relationship with money. How would you describe your relationship with money?
Money is an emotional topic. There is a lot of built-in trauma, built-in conditioning that we've created because our mindsets are established from a very young age. And I don't know about you, but I didn't have life figured out at a very young age, plus everything that's happened along this time. This year personally has been one of the hardest years of my life. And there's a lot of good in that, but there's also been a lot of deep work. So while my relationship with money and my money mindset is in the best place that it's ever been, there's no way that I've arrived, and there's still going to be those hard moments.
Yeah, I do agree with you that when it comes to money, there's a lot of emotions attached to it. But for me, it's a mindset thing too as well, to the point where right now my relationship with money is beyond material things. It's beyond what I see in my bank account. It's beyond my current situation. So I have transcended from seeing money as physical cash to a feeling of abundance. No matter what I have or whatever financial crisis I'm facing at that particular moment, I still have that feeling of abundance. I would say that my personal relationship with money is a very, very great one. And I love to say, no matter how little the money I have in my bank account, I always tell people that I'm never broke. I'm never ever broke. I've never been broke before. Even if I say it, I'm probably joking, like that was back in the day, but like the words I use are totally different. And I think it's more of a feeling than what I see, because it has really helped to build my confidence. Irrespective of my financial status, my confidence is still on top of the roof. So it just leads me to our next question. What mindsets have you built around money?
Yeah, absolutely. And money is so much more than what's in your physical bank account. I mean, that's a very minute portion of it. The mindsets that you have, like I talked about, like my goal, my mission is to help you step into unstoppable. And part of that is honoring and realizing like you are already unstoppable.
Yeah.
You already have all the pieces. You're not missing anything. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. All of those things that we're told, and advertising and marketing is a great industry. We all do it, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of negative things that are built into that. And we have to be able to see and honor the emotions. And this is really like the mindset that I think is a huge piece. We're not discounting the emotions, and we're not acting like they don't exist, because they do exist. And maybe it's not constant, and maybe the ways that they show up is going to vary depending on what's going on, and your personality, your human design shows you a lot there as well. But when those emotions come up, we're able to honor them. We're able to face those fears and walk alongside them and have the courage that you need to when these things come up, up because there's things that happen. And of course, the mindset of you're a steward and what you're doing with money is just a magnifier, and it's only going to make you more of who you are.
Yeah.
And charging people and people saying no to your offer as a business owner has nothing to do with you. A lot of those things, just starting to separate yourself, but not discounting them.
Yeah, that's so true. You talking about, I'm not quoting your words, but like, let's say, for example, if I do not have money, like recognizing the fact that I do not have money, and it's okay to feel bad about it, and don't discard it, but acknowledge those emotions. I do agree with you. And there are times where I use that to fuel my consistency, my creativity, or any work that I'm doing. And I also use that to get energy in order to advance in life. Because when I see my account and it's down, I go like, no, I am visualize more. So even if contrary to what I said about feeling abundance, it doesn't mean that I wouldn't want to work more to have more and even see more. I get energy from those times to just work harder and harder and harder. I'm still on that journey though. I'm still on that financial journey where finances will be the least of my problems. I don't have to calculate too much before taking a trip and all that. The lack of it is what keeps me going and keeps me motivated, that irrespective of what I'm going through, I still push through.
And it all is in the meaning of it, because, nothing has meaning unless we give it meaning. So when you remove the meaning from those things and make sure that it's not meaning anything about you, you can use it for what you would like. But I would also challenge, why does it necessarily mean that you have to work harder? Because your work and the energy that you're putting into your work and your energy of receiving, those are two separate things. And this fact that we have to work hard to receive is actually an employee mindset that we've been taught. This is not necessarily how things work. So we have to continue to separate that and believe and work on our ability to receive, because our giving and our work, well, even those two, those are separate things as well, but your receiving is separate as well. So when we work to untangle some of those things that we've been taught, then we're just that much farther ahead, and you're able to remove the meaning from what, air quotes, results are showing up for you.
I wouldn't dispute that, but when I'm talking about hard work, I'm not talking about hard work as an employee. I'm talking about hard work as in getting up and doing work. Probably that's why certain people are laid back, because in order for you to succeed in life, I have to get up in the morning and do something, especially as an adult. I'm not going to be sleeping and scrolling on my phone all the time. The lack of the money motivates me, because if I didn't have that, I would just be sleeping in bed every single day. And the more I work hard, the more I develop myself, the more I grow, the more I learn. So even working hard has a lot of advantages, and that's the perspective I'm coming from.
Yeah, and working hard does have those benefits, but when we show up with the mentality that we have to work hard, that have to there, as an entrepreneur, right? You worked hard yesterday, I'm sure. Are there ways that people could find your offers and purchase from you today from work that you've done in the past? So why can't we show up in the belief that you can receive without having to do more work? Yes, we're going to do more work because we enjoy it and things light us up and we're doing those things, but when you show up out of the have to instead of get to, there's a difference there that it just unlocks the next level.
Yeah, I'll really try to take my time to, because you're coming from a different perspective that I haven't heard before, so I would take my time to understand and probably listen to this over and over again to get where you're coming from, but that's great. So can you tell us why debt isn't entirely a bad thing in business or one's personal life in general? Because I once heard a TV host, Steve Harvey, say that debt is not entirely a bad thing and you can use other people's money to make money. It sounded great, but I really didn't understand how that is a good thing, because I really do not like to owe anybody.
Well, I would have to say that it's very, I don't know, it's rare. The norm is people feel guilty about debt, and that's why we don't like to see it. But debt isn't a bad thing. Debt in itself, think about the power of that you can have something now, that you can receive again, something now that you're going to pay for over time. Now, there are smart ways to utilize debt, but the fact that you're in debt, if you're in debt now, if you were sitting there beating yourself up over debt, like that doesn't do any good for anybody, because those decisions are in the past. We leverage debt. debt. I have my vehicle finance and it's able to be a tax deduction for me. I'm able to do things and leverage credit cards to be able to use rewards points. We're able to do things with debt because we use it as a tool.
Yeah.
And we use it as an empowerment. And if you are sitting there focused on get out of debt, debt's evil, I can't believe I did this, why did I make this mistake? We're sitting there, again, perpetrating the fear, and that's not going to get you where you want. But you're focusing on the negative. There are quite a few gurus out there that preach that get out of debt. Most people are not successful with that because of, have you heard of yo-yo dieting? You know, you get on a diet, you lose a bunch of weight, you're doing great, and then the diet's over, and then you go get the chocolate chip cookie or whatever it might be that you want, and you end up that you gain all the way back and then some because you were focused so much on what you couldn't have. We do the same thing with our finances. So when you're focused so much on get out of debt, like most people can't do it. It's not sustainable. It's not a lifestyle habit. It's that hardcore focus. So even if that small percentage is successful, within 5 years, 75% of people are back into debt because they've been focusing on the wrong thing. So when you stop worrying about the debt and you start just making smart financial choices, yes, you can leverage things to move forward and as tools to help you. Again, it's just a tool in your tool belt, but focus on your net worth instead, because that's your true financial picture of where you're at.
That's deep. Where focus goes, energy flows.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so true. How do we identify and apply a financial strategy that is unique to our persona? And the reason why I asked that is because I am an empath and I love to give, and also my beliefs. I'm a positive person. I believe in manifestations. I believe I can manifest what I want. So sometimes what I want doesn't even match to what's in my bank account. And it's just like, does this financial strategies and these things even work for me, budgeting and all that? Because sometimes in a month, I end up spending more than what I even had in my bank account. So it's just like, how do I identify and apply a financial strategy that is unique to who I am as a person?
Absolutely. So there is a budgeting strategy that I've created. It's called, the personal side is called Budgeting Simplified and the business side is called Prosperity Simplified. But the reason why this works is because it's a percentage-based budgeting system. So I talk about there's 3 rules to tell if your budget is successful in your budgeting system. And I use the word budget because so many people relate to that, use that word, but your budget is just simply that tool, that strategy. So you're setting the intention of where you want your money to go, because if you're not doing it, somebody else is. Again, advertising and marketing, billion-dollar industry, it's very successful. So all you're doing is setting the intention of where you want your money to go. But where the strategy is unique to you is because it's the percentage-based budgeting system. So to have a successful budget, a successful strategy, the first thing that you need to make sure is it can handle inconsistent income. Especially as entrepreneurs, we have the inconsistent income. It goes up and down. Even like in a corporate world, my husband at the time, he was paid by the mile. He was a truck driver. So like those things, our income fluctuates. So your strategy needs to be able to handle fluctuating income. It needs, the second thing is it needs to be able to scale with you, because we're going to expect our income to continue to grow, right? So this strategy needs to be built in to scale with you. And the third thing is it needs to be able to handle the brunt of it, because, you know, I love numbers and I don't want to stare at a spreadsheet all the time. Like I have my life to live. So I know that you don't. So when it's set up as a system and you're just either checking in on it as a CEO or having somebody check in for you, like if you really want to be removed from the numbers, that's possible. You want to be connected to them, but we can do it in a way that works for you. And those 3 things are key. But the percentage-based budgeting, you set the percentages based on what's important to you and the priorities. It's not about limitation. So if you want to have more money for giving and giving charitable contributions, maybe you're starting your own organization, then you just have a higher increased percentage on giving. If you're wanting to save more, maybe you're wanting to take like a once in a lifetime trip, then you put more into saving. If you're wanting to play more and do more fun activities, well, at a minimum, we have to have the play account within our budget. And that's the money that we use to have fun with, to help improve that money association. But it's really up to you. And this post just went live on my profile right before we went to record. I typed this up this morning. It's like, there's so many times, or there's a lot of gurus out there that teach like you have to have step 1, step 2, step 3. And that's not how I work. There's not those boxes. Because it's your life. And if I'm sitting here trying to shove you in these little boxes that you got to follow step 1, step 2, step 3, that does not work, because you are your own person. You have your own life. You have your own goals goals and dreams and aspirations. You have your own strengths. You have those things that you're going to rely on. And we have to have the strategy that is unique to you. So we have to have the system in place, the strategy in place to kind of guide us so that it's working on autopilot. But we're using the system to help magnify what you want. The system isn't there to control you.
Yeah. One problem I do have is I have created a financial strategy before, my budgeting, what I'm going to do in the month, and I don't follow it. I don't know why. I don't have the discipline to follow through with the strategies I make for myself.
A lot of times we go too hardcore at first.
Oh,
So when we're starting things initially, a lot of times I just tell people, like, just start by tracking your expenses. We also build in systems and routines. So there's a system, a thing that you do once a week. We call it the weekly check-in. It doesn't take but 15 minutes maybe, but you're building the cycle of checking with your money. And there's things that we do and you work a little bit ahead so that you know, like, the next couple weeks are covered. So if something happens and life goes crazy and you miss a week, you're okay. But then we build on that and we have our month end process. And I actually have a low ticket membership. It's called Execution Lab. And we essentially get together and we do this together because I know so many times we have these plans to do things, but your money isn't necessarily sitting there like screaming for your attention, right? Like your bills are getting paid. It can kind of be put on the back burner. So with Execution Lab, we set the time aside to prioritize it, to make sure that it happens. And then I'm there to support you when inevitably like emotions come up, questions come up, those things, we're able to coach and work through it then, but you're designating the time. So again, we don't want to eat the elephant, right? Like one bite at a time, one step at a time, and then get the support system to make sure you're actually prioritizing these things.
That's good. But one thing I'm scared of, I have a financial fear.
We all do.
One thing I'm scared of is tracking my finances. I don't want to be scared. I don't want to be like, oh my God, so I spent 400 euros on this thing. Like, what was I thinking? So sometimes it's just like an escape. You're like, okay, I got by this month. I didn't track my finances. I do not want to track my finances because like I'm just scared of finding out how I spent my money and how negligent I was. For me, I feel like I do not want to face that fact.
That goes back to the mindset and the guilt and the meaning that we're putting on it. So when we remove those things and it's just the data, it doesn't mean anything. That spending you only feel that because of the conditioning that we've created. So when we work to remove that and we're able to look at these things, and again, like the decision's already made, like you've already spent the money. So we also go through a process of like finding the positive. So if you are feeling guilty about a purchase, what are the benefits that came from it? I have a client who spent a significant amount on a coaching package and that coaching program didn't work out. But when we work through like, what did you learn from that experience? What are you taking to move forward? Then we're able to find the positives in it as opposed to thinking about every single time you think about that transaction, all that you're brought up to is the negative. Again, like you said, where your energy goes.
Where your focus goes, your energy flows.
Yes, thank you. Focused then, and we have the positive association that we're able to bring with it. And that just changes your whole vibration. Those fears that we don't, because a lot of people don't want to track their money.
Yeah,
because
I'm
the
one
shame.
of them.
Yeah. So we have the system that sets it up because the system, again, should handle the brunt of the work. So I'm not sure where all this is available, but like the tool that I use is called YNAB. So it's You Need a Budget, YNAB. So my bank accounts are synced in there and it's essentially doing the brunt work for me. I go in and like approve like, hey, this transaction was groceries. This transaction was fuel for the vehicle. This was a business expense, whatever it was, because I have all of my accounts on there, both personally and business, but that's a story for another day. But the system's taking care of it for you. So again, it's not this overwhelming task that you have to do. And we just have to work through it one step at a time. So when we break this down, we do it once a day and there's 2 transactions to look at, or once a week and there's, 12, 15 transactions to look at. It's not as overwhelming as sitting down and doing it once a month.
Yeah. But one thing I feel about doing that. Me doing that is me operating with the scarcity mindset.
Why would that be?
Because, oh my God, I don't have a good explanation.
That's what I was looking for. I can show up and have the expectation that we're going to receive whatever it might be, whatever the amount is that you're working towards. Maybe it's 5,000 months, maybe it's 10,000 months, maybe it's $100,000 months. It really doesn't matter. You can have that expectation to receive, but look at things where they're at or know how many clients you had last month. They're two irrelevant things. One has no meaning on the other because the past has no prediction on the future. Things can change tomorrow. And if we are in that feeling and that expectation that you're going to receive and you're focusing on what you're working towards or you're focusing on what you want to receive, that's the one energy space that we're in. And that's the focus. If you look at the numbers, this is being a good steward with what we have because we're acknowledging and we are knowing what we're doing with this. Because if we're showing up and we're not looking at it, how do you know you haven't hit it?
Yeah.
Because you don't know where you're at. And it's a total skill. Like this is not something that comes easy for a lot of people because we can look at the bank account, we can look at debt numbers and we can be like, well, oh crap, like there's no way that this could happen. But you have to hold the energetic space for yourself. It can show up tomorrow. It can show up today. It could be showing up right now. I could have a transaction on my phone coming in that hit everything that I'm looking for.
That's so true.
Are you ready for the comfort break question? Comfort break question.
If you were a genre of music, what would it be?
Hip hop for sure.
Really?
Yes.
You have a very feisty personality.
I do. I have the feisty personality. I have that upbeat energy, but you know, it can vary. We have the slow moments, we have the good moments, but you know, it's the music that we dance to. And yeah.
Me, I'm sure I'll definitely be rap.
Oh, really?
I'll tell you, I am like a no nonsense person. Tupac, maybe he's my alter ego. So let's dive right back to our questions. What are some profound fears people have about money?
There's a lot there. Most of the fears show up as fear of failure,
Yeah.
fear of not being good enough, not being worthy. Fear of success is very similar. And I know a lot of us are like, whatever, like, you know, I could handle success, but there's a lot that shows up there. And especially when it comes to our money and going back to the strategy, like if you don't have the strategy in place of how you would handle it, then you have the fear of success and you're going to energetically protect yourself.
That's so true. You know, the fear of success is actually like a real thing. Like, and especially when you failed so many times in the past. When I hear stories like Ray Kroc, McDonald's, how he took over McDonald's, he ended up becoming successful. I'm like, how did you still keep going even after you failed over and over again? Prior to he putting his house up as a collateral when he was going to like invest full time in McDonald's, he had taken loans and what he took loans for didn't work. So I'm like, how do you people just keep going? You're not even afraid that even if I take this loan again, maybe I would lose it all. Like that, getting rid of that fear, it's something because sometimes I'm scared, but I try to like let go of that emotion and focus on who I was in the past is not who I am today. I always say that I'm a born entrepreneur, right? In as much as I try not to do entrepreneur stuff, I end up doing entrepreneur stuff ever since I was a child. So I started a company when I was 20 years. I ran the company for almost 7 years. When I was about to leave the company, I was crying because I spent so much time, worked so hard, put in all my sweat every night, made things happen, made so many calls, got so many rejections, disrespect. But yet I wasn't successful. I didn't have any breakthrough, any big breakthrough that would be like, oh, I have this like, you know, $500,000 in my bank account and my life has changed. And now I moved on to starting another thing, which what I'm doing now. And I've been doing it for 2.5 years now. And it's just like, I keep telling myself that, Sharon, don't let the fear of you not succeeding in the past define you. Don't say you're not a money maker because you were not able to make money from your past business. And it can be tough. Some people, the fear doesn't even come as a result of beliefs. It comes as a result of experience, and they lock up.
My challenge there is, what if you weren't letting go of the fear? What if you were walking alongside it? Courage is on the other side of that. So when the fear shows up, as opposed to feeling like we have to shove it down and shove it out of the way, what was on the other side of it? What would it look like? Could you support yourself? Could you hold yourself through this and understand that you feel this way, but have the courage to continue? Again, we're assigning meaning to the fear, and we can feel these things without there being meaning behind it. And when we're in the fear, then it's the allowing yourself to sit there. And this probably goes back to like the feeling like we have to do the hard work earlier. But if you can sit there and feel it and allow yourself the space to sit there and feel that emotion without it meaning anything, but without letting yourself going down those dark rabbit hole thoughts, like where, you know, like I'm useless because nobody showed up to this or whatever. If you can just feel the feeling without going into the thought process, then you're able to move forward with the courage because you aren't assigning meaning to it, because we can feel that without things meaning anything. And again, it's a total skill, and we use tools to help lessen some of those fears and the trauma and some of those things that showed up, and the conditioning. You know, EFT tapping is one that I utilize all the time, and I tell my clients to utilize as well, working through those triggers, because we have programmed those things to show up. It's not always logical, but really holding yourself in that space.
And how could we foster our money thinking into a more positive one?
Be open to the possibility. I think it's probably the simplest. Like, be open to the possibility that things can show up. Check your PayPal in the morning, but look for the expectation that like there could be money there that you didn't know was going to be there, or your Stripe. I check both, but it's looking for that possibility thinking again, and opening your mind just to the idea of it. Because if we're closed to it and like, this is just never going to happen, and I wow, that was a contradiction. I would have said that I was crazy probably 8 years ago. I would have told you were absolutely crazy. But if I can help you get to the place that I'm at now a lot faster, avoiding some of the things that I quote unquote perceive failures, because I don't feel like there's failures. But if I can help you get there faster, then we'll get there faster. So just open your mind to the possibility that, you know, you can find, I'm trying to think in euros, I don't know, it's a $20 bill for us, as a lot of people will say. Like, if you can find money there on the street, or it can show up magically in your PayPal, or you can get something in the mail, open your mind to that possibility. And things can show up other ways. You could have a credit on a bill. You could have something given to you that it's not necessarily tangible money, but somebody can gift you a coaching session. Somebody can gift you a credit. Somebody can gift you food. Somebody can pay for your meal. The receiving doesn't have to be tangible cash. Open your mind to that. And it's, again, process, but just creating that habit. Like, okay, what if this could happen?
I do agree with you 100%. That's also like an abundance mindset. Yeah. So we've come to the end of the episode, but before you leave, can you share any life lesson you live by?
Finding the gratitude in every situation. Because I ask my kids every night at dinner, what was your favorite moment of the day? And it's always fun to see what they come up with. But then it's, what are 3 things that they're grateful for? Especially when things are hard and maybe you haven't seen the success that you're looking for. Finding the things that you can be grateful for now and the things that you have received, it helps shift your mind off of whatever it might be, whether it's heartache. Maybe you're having success. It's just not the success that you're looking for. But when you can shift that, it really shifts everything for you, and you're able to be that much happier.
That's so true. People should stop putting pressure on themselves. Most people, it's not even that they can't be grateful, but it's their surroundings that makes it difficult for them to be grateful. But it is a life changer. I do agree with you. It has changed my life in so many ways, and I'm just glad that it's a part of my spiritual practice.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. When we know, again, what you're working towards, you can remove some of those shoulds from our life and those pressures, because when we succumb to other people's expectations, when we remove those, it makes a big difference.
It really does. I didn't think a money conversation was going to be this interesting. I thought we were going to be talking numbers, but thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for the gems you have have left us with. Before we leave, I'm going to go over the top rules inspired by Beyonce Knowles Carter. Number 1, surround yourself with positivity. It's very important for you to be mindful of what you surround yourself with, because positivity is one of the keys to success in any area of your life. And number 2, be competitive with yourself. Make sure that who you were yesterday is different or an advanced version of who you will be today or tomorrow. And just look at your journey. Focus on your lane. You're not in competition with anybody. The people you want to impress with your success do not give a hoot about you and will try to pull you down. So just focus on your journey. Concentrate on what you want for your life and what you want to add to this world. So thank you all so much for listening. Kindly leave a 5-star review if you enjoyed this episode. I love you as much as you love yourself. Until next episode, bye.
You have got a strong